For the past 4 months, I've been living in Panama City, Panama. In this video, I'm going to share with you what I like, what I don't like, and everything that you need to know before coming here. So the first things first is why Panama? And for nomads who are wanting to have like a home base, Panama is a great home base. For starters, it has an ideal tax system. Like as a nomad, you're probably making foreign made income, and Panama has a territorial tax system. So if you're making money outside of the country, that's generally not susceptible to tax. So you can save a ton of money in this regard. Obviously, I'm not a tax advisor. I'm not an accountant, so do your own research here, but it is something that you should be aware of. The weather here is great most of the year. Like I've been here for 4 months now and it's been sunny most of the time. There has been a few rainy days, but it hasn't been too bad at all. Like I've thoroughly enjoyed the weather here. Another thing that you'll enjoy as a nomad is the airport. It's very centrally located. You can get pretty well anywhere in the Americas in less than 7-8 hours of a flight, which is awesome. You can get direct flights to a lot of places. And in that regard, it kind of supports your nomadic lifestyle as well. The healthcare here is great. I have not used it a ton, to be completely honest, but the times that I have used it, it has been decent. Like I have no complaints about it. It was quick, wasn't expensive, and worked well. I honestly preferred paying like the 60, 80 bucks that I did for the healthcare here than waiting for months to get in to see the doctor up in Canada. The infrastructure here is also great. Like you won't notice it much different than the US or Canada. Like it's very modern, beautiful skyline. The Wi-Fi here is great. I don't drink the water, but a lot of people here that live here drink the water. Like it is drinkable in some areas, and you're not having power going out constantly or stuff like that like in some other countries in Latin America. So in that regard, it's great. And in terms of like staying here long-term rentals are fairly affordable. Like it's a lot more affordable than Canada or the USA. Like right now I got a apartment that is on the 29th floor of my building, has ocean views, has a beautiful city skyline at nighttime, and it's only 900 bucks per month. So it's not bad at all. Panama is also great for those of you who only want to pass through and stay here for a few months, if you can afford it. It is a little more expensive for short-term stays, but there's lots to do in the city in terms of activities and nightlife and restaurants and stuff like that. There's lots of great day trips that you can do to beaches and like beautiful nature. I haven't checked out a ton, but there is a lot of museums talking about like the canal and stuff here, which would be cool to check out. I personally feel safe walking around Panama. I am a little sketched out sometimes with my camera gear, but just generally walking around, even at nighttime, I feel completely safe. And Panama also has lots of great gyms that you can go to. Before I get into the next point, I'm going to be diving into each one of these individual topics at a deeper level over the next few weeks. So if you're interested in learning more about Panama, then definitely make sure to click that subscribe button so you can follow along. Okay, so now a few reasons why you might not want to come to Panama. So if you're looking for a city with beaches, Panama is definitely not going to be the place for you. That said though, there are some world-class beaches outside of the city. You just need to take about a 1 hour to 2 hour drive. Another reason why you might not want to choose Panama is it can be pretty expensive, especially if you are someone who's only staying here for a month or two. If you can't get into a long-term lease, the Airbnbs down here are very expensive. So you're going to need to be making a lot of money to be able to stay in Panama. Food's not terrible, but yeah, Airbnbs are pretty expensive. There is also a rainy season, so you might want to avoid coming here during that time of year. I've been here from January to March, and the weather has been pretty near perfect the entire time I've been here. So if you're looking for a good time of year to come to Panama, then I definitely recommend then. But yeah, just if you're coming here for the nice weather, you might want to avoid coming here during the rainy season. If you're someone who doesn't really like the heat, you also probably won't like Panama, as it is pretty close to the equator and it gets pretty hot here most of the year. So it's very hot, humid. I honestly love it, but some of you might not enjoy that. So just be prepared that if you come here, you might find it a little too hot. Another, I guess, negative I'd say about Panama is there is a bit of litter, especially in the more impoverished areas. They definitely have a bit of a issue with their garbage, but when you're in the nice areas and the areas that you're probably going to be staying in as a nomad, you won't notice it too badly. It is just in some areas. If you're a type of person who likes to have that exotic feel of like being the only gringo in an area, you won't get that in Panama either. There's a lot of foreigners here, so you'll definitely see a lot of like American and Canadians, and you'll definitely hear a lot of English. So if you're looking for that adventure, I guess you'd say, then you'll probably be better going off somewhere else. And then another thing to be mindful of is outside the city, the infrastructure is definitely not as good as the city. There's areas that are pretty impoverished and not as nice as the city, so that's just something to be aware of too. Now, in regards of who should go to Panama, I think Panama has something for everyone. For retirees, it's got good infrastructure, good healthcare, and great weather, so you can get away from the winters in Canada or the US. That said, Panama is also great for nomads with a family. It is fairly safe for Latin America. Like, I'd feel pretty safe raising kids here. And honestly, even for single nomads, it's a great spot too. Like, the dating scene down here is pretty good as well. If you're a nomad who's into entrepreneurship, Panama's the perfect spot for you. On one hand, the tax advantages are great down here, and on the other hand, the banking is excellent down here as well. So it's perfect for you. If you're a nomad who likes traveling, Panama's also a perfect spot due to the airport. Also, if you're new to nomading, Panama's the perfect spot. It's a good spot to dip your toes into Latin America. It's fairly safe, but it still has that feel. So that's another reason to come down here. Alongside that, it does still have a American feel with all the tall buildings here and condos and all that. So if you want to dip your toes into Latin America, this is the perfect place to do it. Now, there are a few things to know when coming to Panama. The first is when you get to the airport, your baggage might end up going to a different terminal than what you land at. So when you're getting baggage instructions from the stewardess on the plane, just make sure to listen to those, as if you go to the wrong terminal, it's a little bit hard to get back to the other one. Another thing is Panama's contrast is pretty stark. There are wealthy areas in the city and there are very like impoverished areas in the city. And it honestly isn't that far between the two. Like, you can go from a very nice area of the city to a very poor area of the city pretty quick. So just be mindful of where you are staying neighborhood wise. Now, in regards to the best areas to stay in, there are a few. Most buildings along Avenida Balboa are pretty nice. Now, there's a little bit of street noise here, so you don't really hear it if you're high up, but if you're down near ground level, you definitely will hear it. I'm on Avenida Balboa myself, and on the 29th floor, I still hear some motorcycles racing around at nighttime. So just something to be aware of there. Most of these buildings, if you're on the right side of them, will have a good view of the water too, as Avenida Balboa runs all along the water. So that is a big bonus of living in one of these buildings. I said I'm along Avenida Balboa, but more specifically, I'm in a neighborhood called Bella Vista. It's a nice walkable neighborhood with lots of parks around. It's not far from the Cinta Costera, so you can go walking on that. I personally enjoy walking on that every day. That's one of my favorite things about Panama. It's 2 minutes from my grocery store, 20 minutes from my gym. So again, it's very walkable. This depends on whereabouts you are in the neighborhood, but it is a fairly walkable neighborhood. It has a few nice restaurants and stuff like that, and it is a quick Uber ride from Casco Viejo, which is the next neighborhood that I recommend. And Casco Viejo is a neighborhood that I recommend for like partiers. If you're big into partying, this is the place to stay in Panama City. It has most of the bars in the city, most of the nightlife, most of the restaurants. It's got a very cool colonial vibe in it. With all the cool architecture, it's a very cool spot to walk around at night or during the day even. However, that being said, it's more of like a short-term neighborhood. If you're staying in Panama for a few weeks, then it'd be a great neighborhood for you. However, if you're wanting to live in Panama, I wouldn't really suggest living here. It's a little less livable, a little less grocery stores. The gyms aren't very prevalent in this neighborhood. And honestly, the Airbnbs that you're going to find in this neighborhood are probably going to have a bar or something of that sorts in the building, and you'll probably get annoyed by the noise living here. So I'd say it's a great short-term option, but long-term probably not the best. I prefer Bella Vista over Casco Viejo for long-term stays. The next neighborhood is called El Cangrejo. This is going to be a little bit cheaper as it's a little bit farther from the water. I haven't been to this neighborhood a ton. However, it does have a little more of a Latin American vibe. It has lots of great food options here, so I would say it's a good spot to settle down for a few months. I have seen a lot of people say that this neighborhood's very good for expats. The next neighborhood is San Francisco. So San Francisco has Park Omar, which is a huge park in Panama City. So that's a bonus of living in this neighborhood. It has good shopping in a few areas, and depending on the area of the neighborhood that you're staying in, it can be also very walkable. The next neighborhood is Costa del Este. So honestly, if I had to choose another apartment in Panama City, this is where I would choose, as it's got a very unique vibe to it. On one hand, every street is lined with beautiful palm trees. It has a great walking path that you don't get as many views of the water as the Cinta Costera, but it's got very beautiful nature. The buildings here are very nice. There's lots of restaurants, a good mall, and like good nature here, I guess you'd say. There's a nice gym in this neighborhood and lots of modern towers that you can live in. So I would stay in this neighborhood if I had to choose again. And honestly, if I had a family, this would probably be where in Panama City I'd stay, as it's a little more peaceful than the rest of the city I find. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is places to party. And honestly, your best bet here is going to be Casco Viejo. This is the main party spot in Panama City. All the main bars and restaurants are in this area. Calle Uruguay also has a great vibe. It's a street that has a lot of like bars and restaurants on it. Although it's like downtown in the city, it's got a very Latin American feel to it. It used to be like the main area before Casco Viejo took off, but it still has a pretty good party scene at it. Another good one is Calle Argentina. I went walking on this one once at nighttime, and it has a lot of good bars, good restaurants. I also found it pretty cool, as last year I spent 4 months in Argentina, and walking down the street brought me back to the memories of being there. It felt a lot like Argentina with all the buildings on it and the parks and stuff like that. And another option for partying, I haven't done it yet, but there's these buses that you see going down the street. They're all decked out and have lots of lights, play very loud music, and they look like a fun time if you're in your party age. The next thing I want to talk about is things to do. So the first thing that I really recommend doing is going for a bike ride on either the Cinta Costera or the Amador Causeway. Both are beautiful spots to see the city. And as a bonus, if you go biking on the Amador Causeway, near the end of it, you can go to a bunch of restaurants. It's got a bunch of beautiful restaurants on the ocean. There are lots of great places to rent a bike along either, so I definitely recommend checking them out. Another thing that I recommend doing is renting a car for a day or two and check out the beaches outside of the city. So there's lots of great beaches within like a 2 to 3 hour drive of Panama City. The town of Portobello is very cool to check out. It has a bunch of boat rides to some islands, which is really cool, that have like very nice beaches on them. I did this and it was honestly one of the best experiences that I've had in Panama. I ended up getting to an island and I spent like 3 hours there, and it's like my own private island, so that was pretty cool. San Blas is also a beautiful spot. I haven't checked it out yet, but I definitely intend to. I definitely recommend checking out Valle de Anton. This is a beautiful town in like the center of a volcano that's been extinct for like 2 million years. It's got lots of beautiful nature in it. There's mountains surrounding this town. It's just a beautiful spot to check out. Obviously, check out the canal when you're here. If you go to the Miraflores Visitor Center, it's not far from the city, and it has a a film where Morgan Freeman narrates it, talking about how the canal was built and all that, which is super cool. Another cool spot that I recommend checking out is Metropolitan Natural Park. It's a beautiful park not far from the city, and it has views of the city which are very beautiful. It also has some nature, so you can see sloths here. When I went, I didn't see any, but I did see this cool, I think it's called like a coyote, super cool animal that was walking around looking at garbage and stuff. And lastly, I recommend checking out Ancon Hill. This is another spot that has beautiful views of both the canal and the city, so I definitely recommend going there. It's a good hike. It takes a bit to get up there, but when you get to the top, it's an awesome spot to check out. If you're wanting to travel a little farther from the city, then I definitely recommend checking out Bocas del Toro, Boquete, or Santa Catalina. I haven't gone to these places, but based on the photos that I've seen, they look very beautiful. In terms of the best gyms to go to in Panama City, Smart Fit's a good one. It's like a chain that's all over Latin America, has good equipment. Sometimes it can be pretty busy though. Another good one is Power Club. I have only been to this one once, but the one time that I did go there, it was a very nice gym. I definitely probably would have chosen this one if I had to choose again, but yeah, you live and you learn. They're pretty similar, so I'd choose the one that's closest to your apartment. Now, in regards to the reason why I chose to stay in Panama City, there are a few. So the first is I'm big into entrepreneurship, and Panama City is probably one of the best spots in Latin America that supports this. Between the infrastructure, the tax advantages, and a lot of the convenience that like US or Canada has, it all just works out well for me. At my current age, I want to live in a nice condo building, and Panama City has a ton of those to choose from. And then when I get older, I want to live in a nice house on the water, and Panama also has that option as well. The weather here is perfect for me. I love the sun, and as long as I have an air conditioning unit, I don't mind the heat at all. If you want to see some more in-depth videos on each topic that I've talked about here, then make sure to check out this playlist right here, and don't forget to click subscribe.